After the issue of human life, we've talked about that a lot. What are the next most important issues that a Catholic should consider when voting? How should a Catholic examine their conscience and their candidate before making their vote? So again, in some ways, I think, human life is the issue that ultimately rolls through everything that's important, isn't it, in a lot of ways?
Yes, it is. But, once you have, settled on human life as the highest priority, then, of course, you have to start looking at the next set of liberty rights, that need to be fulfilled. And it's something that this country has done very well. But again, the idea of liberty has always been a qualified view of liberty. So, of course, you're not going to have, unqualified liberty in John Locke's system, right? As John Locke said, my freedom to swing my arm, stops where your face begins, right? I can't be, swinging my arm around with unlimited liberty. It's always going to be conditioned by what? The liberties and the rights of somebody else, by the life and injury of somebody else. So I'm always going to have to take a look at that. But yes, we have to make sure that every one of our citizens has those liberty rights, where they can not only practice their own religion, they can not only practice, or have, custody over their own, domicile, and most importantly, that they have the right to raise their family in a way that is commensurate with their religion, their values, their principles, their ideals, right? So we want to make sure that those freedoms exist, and that not only will an individual not interfere with those liberty rights, but Big Brother, the state, will not interfere with those liberty rights. And we should not think for a moment, right? I mean, obviously, the Founding Fathers were very aware of states that were brutal and we're trying to dominate, the rights of human beings, the liberty rights of human beings, vis-a-vis religion, vis-a-vis family, vis-a-vis values, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, because of that, our country was almost discovered and founded, on the basis of that principle. So we want to make sure that we protect those things, and we want to make sure that those rights, those liberty rights exist, for each citizen, right, independently of state interference or state coercion. And there's a great deal of that, which is in the offing right now. I mean, we see it, I think, in the educational system, right, where parents don't have, in some areas, public education areas, don't have real custody over what their kids are learning. You can always say, well, you ought to go to a private school then, or go to a homeschool environment then. I would say yes, because they're left with no alternative. But there is a coercion in there. I don't have to say either that there's coercions like with the Little Sisters of the Poor that are taking place on a really fantastic level. I mean, I can't remember a time, when people actually wanted to abrogate religious liberty to the point of forcing a woman's religious order, to actually provide for things which they consider to be intrinsically evil. I mean, it's unbelievable. So Big Brother is alive and well, and so we want to make sure that those liberty rights are protected for every citizen.